Today I'm going to show you how to take a Sophie and Her Mum simulator and turn her upside down. In other words, turn her right side up so that she's in a hands and knees or kneeling position. So these are the modifications we at Breach Without Borders have come up with. So to put Sophie together upright, we need a few extra pieces of equipment, all of which you can get at a local hardware store. We have 4 table legs and 2 pieces of 1x3 dimensional lumber. The legs don't have to be exactly the size that we got, but ours measure 13 inches long. And these 2 pieces of lumber measure 13 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and about 3/4 inch thick. Standard size that you can often find in a hardware store. You can see that we've drilled 2 sets of holes in each piece. I'll show you how they fit into the model. So first you take one of your pieces of wood, and you'll notice that these simulators have 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have drilled 2 holes. So we've drilled on the first hole nearest the opening of the torso and the 3rd hole. And the piece of wood extends past the 1st and the 4th hole, so all the way covering all 4 holes, but only the holes drilled in 1 and 3. And they're drilled so that when you line them up like this, the edge of the wood parallels the edge of the base. So you put each table leg in through the hole, and bolt it in tightly. Why do we have these pieces of wood here? Well, we found that without these braces on either side, the base would sag a little bit, even though it's made out of metal. So by having these 2 side braces, it stabilizes the table a lot. And it also gives you a really secure surface to attach your legs to. You could attach it without, but I would highly recommend cutting these 2 rectangular pieces of wood. Okay, now we have all 4 legs on Sophie right here, so we're ready to turn her around. So we have Sophie's mum set on the table here, and as you'll notice, it's really wiggly, both this way, and then of course if you push Sophie through, it'll tip the table right over. So you need to find some way to attach Sophie's mum securely to the table. And we came up with an idea of using a ratchet strap. This is a standard ratchet strap that we bought at a hardware store. I don't know exactly how long the cord is, but I would guess it's several meters long. You want it long enough to at least go around your table with enough to spare so that you can actually cinch it closed easily. And ratchet it really tight so there's really no more movement at all. Now if I push, no matter how hard I'm pushing on Sophie's mum and on this table, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to fall off. So it allows me then to push Sophie through with a lot of force without worrying that the simulator will fall over. So we're here, and you'll notice, you might think we're ready to start doing births with the simulator, but unfortunately, we have one more issue to solve. So Sophie and her mum were not engineered to give birth upright. They were engineered to be in dorsal lithotomy position on their back, which means that when you flip them over, they're hanging from a set of 4 bolts in the top of the table. Unfortunately, they're not really meant to be hanging from these 4 screws, so it starts to pull away from the table. You can even see a gap here. And over time, it gets worse and worse as the flesh of this torso essentially pulls away and rips away. So to fix this problem, I engineered a solution. I made some stirrups. So you need a pair of these stirrups. We'll have the pattern on Breech Without Borders and instructions. And these are specially made to fit each leg. And what they do is they go around each leg and then cinch tight around the base, essentially holding the legs and the torso securely against this metal base, preventing this sagging issue and then making the simulator last much longer. I've labeled these right and left because they're slightly different on each side. The legs are not 100% symmetrical. And so they won't fit if you put them on the wrong legs. So I put a little L on one and an R on the other. So these go around. So the seam of the stirrup fits precisely around the edge of the leg. And they should be roughly parallel. Coming around the side of the table at right angles. Then they hook onto the opposite bolts. So you see the nice right angle here. You see this is lined up all the way around here. And now we just cinch it tight. Okay, we've got one side done. Now, as a note, I made these from recycled backpacks and scraps of fabric. So these straps came from backpacks I bought at a thrift store, including all of the adjusting buckles and such. I had these aluminum sling rings on hand. These are the small size aluminum sling ring. You can buy them from a number of different suppliers. I would suggest aluminum and not steel as they're lightweight and they won't rust. And then again, the fabric is just normal cotton quilting fabric. It doesn't have to be anything in particular as long as it's washable and fairly durable. So again, I'm fitting this on nice and tightly. The seam goes right around the edge of the leg and it looks more or less parallel with the ground. And again, I have a nice right angle coming in on either side here. I'll tighten this one. And now this feels very snug. If you notice, there's no longer a gap here between the base and the maternal body, which is good. This means the weight of the torso is now suspended on the stirrups rather than hanging off of these 4 support bolts on the top. So now we're set up and ready to go and ready to do upright simulations. Okay. After we're done, we reverse the process and take everything apart. And we clean off the torso really well, dry it, and cover it with baby powder, and then wrap it up and pack it away.